economy. Kwa sababu watu wanalia hawana hela, lazima kuwe na pesa ina circulate kwa economy. Ndio economy iweze mkuwe na watu wakuwe na buying power. Watu wakuwe na buying power. So kuna pesa lazima uinject kwa economy. When naanza sema kama hapa bali niko, rais aliinject $1,300. Ukiwa na mtoto, kila mtoto alikuwa anapata $300. Ukiwa na mtoto chini ya 18 years, that's about 30,000 Kenyan shillings. Ukiwa na watoto watano, unaweza imagine hiyo ni karibu 150,000 ile unapata because the economy was doing so badly na COVID time, so they need to recover. Na citizens hawana pesa, hauna pesa ya kwenda supermarket, hauna pesa ya kufanya kitu, so serikali inakupatia hiyo pesa. Shika hii pesa ufanye ile unataka, but utaifanya kwa muda nani, at the end of the day it's not sustainable. Serikali iwezi kuwa inakupatia pesa kila miaka nenda miaka rudi. At one point they will stop giving you that money because they need that money to circulate, na watu wengine pia wapate. Wewe ukikopa mwingine wapate. Shida ya Hustler Fund hata sio ati wewe utaumia. Shida ya Hustler Fund ni serikali ndio itaumia zaidi. They will lose billions because there will be so many defaulters. Wale wataki kulipa
watajiumia namna gani? You know,
hivi ndio wataumia. Nikikopa pesa na siilipi, hiyo ni hasara kwa serikali. Na hakuna mahali wanaweza kupeleka.
You know, Mzalendo, you need to know one thing. Hustler Fund is budgeted. So ni kama development. This is a KRA allocation to get the data. This data, which is now going to yield 2.8 trillion from the informal sector. It is a data collection exercise. Tell Chaka that. It was not meant to do you anything. In fact, that is why if you don't pay, they don't take you anywhere. They don't take you anywhere. They are budgeted, according to KRA budget for this data collection. They propose to spend 5 to 7 billion a year just to get this information. Going forward, they will hope to recoup it through taxation, this so-called informal tax, presumptive tax.
True, they will still recover their money at the end of the day. Very, very true.
Hapo ndugu zangu, nafikiri kuna mengine yananiingia, lakini bado kuna so hii Hustler Fund. Kwa hiyo kwamba si vile ambavyo ilikuwa imewekwa kwamba ni pesa ya kumsaidia kufungua biashara, kuweza kumnyanyua mwananchi. Yani ni pesa ambayo, kwanza nielewe kwamba hii source ya hii Hustler Fund, mkisema kwamba hii Hustler Fund mwananchi hakuwa na pesa, na serikali hii pesa imetoa wapi kama si kwa mwananchi? Kwa hiyo mkisema hii ni pesa ya mwananchi, kwa hiyo sasa kama ni pesa ya mwananchi na lengo haswa ni kukusanya data, kumwelewa mapato yake, jinsi gani anavyoingiza pesa kwa mpesa yake on monthly basis, waweze kukuwa na hiyo audit kwamba anatia pesa ngapi, ili waweze kumtax. Ndio lilikuwa lengo la Hustler Fund. Ama lengo la Hustler Fund lilikuwa ni kumnyanyua mama mboga na ule bodaboda na yule wa chini kuweza kukua, kwa sababu hiyo ndio kauli nilikuwa nikisikia mimi Chaka, kwamba tunaleta Hustler Fund kwamba unaweza kopa ukatengeza biashara. Kwa hivyo wakati ikiwa implemented ikashangaza watu kwamba ni pesa kidogo mno kiasi kwamba huwezi fungua chochote. Nadhani hata DP mwenyewe alizungumza kwamba unaiona ni kidogo 500, lakini kunaweza ukanunua peremende ukaingia kwa barabara ukatafuta riziki na hiyo 500. Lakini je, ililetwa kwaweza kumnyanyua, ama ilikuwa ni kuhakikisha kwamba mwananchi anakusanywa data yake ile ambayo kwamba jinsi anavyoingiza mapato yake, transactions zake zote zenye zinapita kwa mpesa, ili ndio waweze kumtax? Nataka tu kuelewa hapo, kwa sababu sijaelewa hii lengo la Hustler Fund ni gani.
Chaka, there are two ways. Let me just respond to that. Then you come in, Leo.
Okay.
Let me respond to that. Then you can come in. Chaka, remember this thing. This is many-headed stuff. There is the political thing here. Then the social thing here. Then there is the other economic something here. There are all those three fronts. Now, politically, you can see somebody is reaping. But the truth of the matter that by the end of the day, imagine 2 years from now, what will happen? The information they are collecting is going to be very, very valuable going forward economically and as far as KRA is concerned. So that's why we are saying that somebody might say that people are not paying. So you think that they are losing. They are not losing. What they are saying is that collecting that data is this expensive. And that's why I was saying that as far as KRA projections are concerned, they will be spending 5 to 7 billion a year around this hustler thing. But by the end of the day, the information they will have, the data they will have about you and your accounts and your business activities, which in future you are going to pay pole through taxation, is very, very valuable. And as Mzalendo said, the previous regimes have all been defeated. Have what to do with the Juakali sector. That is true. Now, in the process, they have earned the support of the Juakali sector, so to say. But then, that's why we are saying that sooner or later, they might backfire. And the Juakali sector, that support may well be withdrawn even before 2027.
Thank you. Let me welcome, there's Jatello here. So let me welcome Jatello. And before that, Chaka, what is happening kwa hiyo Hustler Fund haikuwa pesa ya biashara. Manake, wewe leo hii huwezi kiingia bank na wakupatie loan kama wewe sio. Lazima wajue loan unaenda kufanyia nini, na hiyo kitu unaenda kufanya una uwezo wa kurudisha. Lakini Hustler Fund, bora uko na line ya Safaricom, hata kama wewe ni mwanafunzi unapewa. Sasa haikuwa ya kufaidisha wanabiashara. Ni kama serikali ilikuwa inawaambia asanteni sana kwa kutupigia kura na nyinyi pia mujienjoy. Jatello, karibu.
Asante sana Leo. Nimeingia hapa sababu ya Mzalendo because I've been commenting in the comment section, but ni kama hakuwa nasoma hiyo. So I'll just try to share my little economic knowledge because I'm an economist and distinguish between the two. Now, ukiangalia hii Hustler Fund yenyewe ilikuwa na good idea. It had a good thoughts like kuinua hustler, yes. But utainua mimi bila knowledge. Utainua mimi bila kujua hii 500 unanipea nitaifanyia nini? Hakuna civic education ulileta huku ukanipea ukaniambia ukifanya hii na hii nitakupea hii pesa na inaweza kufanya ukwe hivi. Now in that case naweza sema Hustler Fund haikuwa loan sababu ukienda kwa bank there's so many things that are being considered before being given the loan. But Hustler Fund ilikuwa ya kila mtu, chota kila mtu yoyote mwenye ataomba hiyo pesa, bora tu umeweka M-Pesa namba yako na kila kitu utapewa hiyo pesa, and that's called overdraft. Kuna do different things. Overdraft ni ile saa zile yenye hauna pesa lakini utakuwa ukitumia pesa ikwe kama mkopa itakupeleka kwa negative. So there is that's the difference between Hustler Fund na loan. Watu wanasema Hustler Fund ni loan, hiyo si loan. Hiyo ni pesa yenye unapewa lakini utalipa na interest. Unaona? Loan ni ile yenye wanaangalia huyu mzalendo amekuwa akifanya hii pesa ngapi, how is he able to pay back this money. Sababu mimi nikikupea pesa kama loan nitaangalia huyu mzalendo what is the stream of his income. Anaweza lipa hii pesa kama ni miaka 4 at how much per month or per year, unaona. Lakini Hustler Fund ni ile yenye unaambiwa utakuwa ukilipa 500 tutakupea 500, unalipa hiyo 500, next time unakopesha 700, unalipa hiyo 700
unalipa in 2 weeks.
Unalipa in 2 weeks, which is a standard. Like hakuna ile yenye hata unaweza ambiwa because loan you can bargain terms of payment. Hii Hustler Fund imekuja na rigid term, unaona. Sasa ukiangalia hiyo ni overdraft. I just wanted to mention that and then nitoke kwa studio. Nilikuwa najaribu kusema hivyo kwa comment section, lakini mzalendo ni kama ulisoma tu.
Jatelo, whatever you have said is what I've been saying. Sijui ni wapi nimekosea. Nimekuwa nikisema they needed to have been educated by the banks on how to manage the money. What you are not telling us is that even for overdraft, you need to qualify for an overdraft. Overdraft, you cannot walk into the bank and get an overdraft. You must have saved some money with the bank. Your salary must have been coming through that bank for a period of
That's
time,
very true.
so that you qualify for the overdraft. But I need you to give me a name, because you call the Hustler Fund not a loan. So what is it?
But
give me an English name for it.
An English name for that is an overdraft. Ile yenye unanielewa, an English name ni overdraft. Sio loan. Hiyo loan yenye unaongelea, hiyo overdraft ukiangalia
call it almost a soft loan. Overdraft, is based on over and what has been going on.
It's complicated. You can't call it an overdraft.
Ndio maana ukiangalia wanasema wanaangalia M-Pesa yako, utaweka pin, uangalie umekuwa ukiweka 50 bob, ndio maana inakuja kwa overdraft. Unaona, wanaangalia history yako, hawaangalii ile loan, sababu loan haikuji kwa ile njia yenye mtu atakupea 500. Kwanza ukienda kutafuta loan, utawaambia hii pesa unapeleka wapi. Upewi 1000 loan. Loan ni pesa unapewa yenye iko tangible.
Jatelo, since you are an economist, can you tell us, more about the benefits of that money into the economy vis-a-vis not having it, and the danger?
Sasa nilikwambia the idea was really good, and nilipenda idea ya Ruto akisema alikuwa anataka kuexpand tax base, lakini tax base haikuwa imeuzwa wakati wa campaign na hii Hustler Fund. Walisema Hustler Fund itakuwa pesa ya bure, hakuna kulipa. Ukikopesha
50 billion
utalipa hiyo 500. Haikuwa inakuja na interest. Unaona? Now, hii interest yenye inakuja, the problem that I have with this Hustler Fund, where did the money come from? Number 2, ilipitishwa wapi ndo ikakuwa approved kwamba hii 50 ama tuseme 100 billion imekuwa ya Hustler Fund, ama ni zile tu za kufikisha 100 days promises? Hapo ndo niko na shida. Pesa ilikuwa
it was passed by, I think, parliament on as a supplementary stuff.
Now the problem is, where did the money come from? Hapo ndo sielewi. Kama mtu anajua aniambie.
Parliament allocated it through a supplementary bill, I think.
Wakati wa campaign ilikuwa zero interest fund. Hustler amepiga
the current parliament allocated it through a supplementary bill.
Now, look at during campaign, Hustler Fund, you are to be given this 500 shillings, which is doing you nothing, but you are to pay that 500 back, right? Hauko unakuwa forced to save, hauko unakuwa forced kulipa 501 as an interest, ndio? Hii interest ilitoka wapi? That's where the problem, you sell me something, but when you give it to me, I get different terms that I didn't subscribe for. Unaelewa? That's where my problem is. The idea of Hustler Fund ilikuwa mzuri kabisa, kuinua hustler. That's hiyo naye ni ukweli. But hii 500 inainua hustler. Number 2, ile yenye ilikuwa nasema, hiyo yenye imeresonate na mzalendo's idea. Umenipea 500, hujaniambia hii market yetu inakaa hivi, hii economy yetu inakaa hivi. Umenifunza kutumia hii 500, hujanifunza, umenipea hiyo pesa. What can I do with it? And then hii pesa ndo nilipe, lazima inizalie ingine, si ndio? Hujanifunza, hujanicreate market for that, alafu unataka hiyo pesa back. Nisipolipa unaniekea threats za kwenda kwa prison. Unaona? That's where I have the problems. And that's why I call it an overdraft. Unakuja kwa pesa yangu, unaona M-Pesa statement, pesa imeingia 50 shillings imetoka, unasema huyu anaweza lipa hii pesa, wacha nimpe overdraft. Si loan.
you see, Jatelo, this fund was supposed to, the way I was explaining to Shaka, you are supposed to capture two things. There is the political thing here.
We are losing
You must appreciate that. Then there is the economic thing, which is where KRA comes in. Then there is the social factor, which is the enduring. Now the voters are makes you enduring to whoever is doing all this. Now, all those are objectives which were in the heads of the people's strategize this thing. So the fact that one side is going right, another side is not going right, all this for the deep thinkers, they were there, but the so-called informal sector, the Juakali, they were not seeing all this, and that's why my conclusion was that this thing, it can benefit the people who intended it, or at the same time it can backfire. So don't be surprised about that. As to where it came from, it has been allocated through Parliament. They are going to ratify it. This coming budget estimates which are coming in Parliament, if you go through them the way I've said, over 2 trillion is supposed to be revenue through presumptive taxation of the informal sector, the Ukali sector. And that is where the data for KRA, this is money well spent. The 5 billion which some, I think, Azimio fellows were told that they are not going to refund. KRA is not bothered because it is good, it is money well spent. That data, getting your statement through which you are going to be taxed now on your turnover on M-Pesa transaction, where else would they have gotten it? They would never have gotten it. And as Mzalendo says, these ideas were already there earlier. This is the only daring government who has tried to get somewhere with it. As to whether they'll succeed or not, time will tell.
Jatelo, we have Fuliza, ile ingine inaitwaje? We have got so many companies that are giving loans to Kenya.
The other
There is
money.
Tala, there is what? The only difference is that this one is coming from the government.
Yeah.
That is the only difference. And the other difference is that the interest rates in paying for this one is slightly lower than what Tala and Fuliza are providing and what the banks are providing. That is the only difference with this Hustler Fund. The only place where Ruto would have has flopped with this Hustler Fund is probably in his campaign. He said that he will not charge any interest on the loans. That is the only flop that we have with the Hustler Fund. But with the time, this fund will be managed properly, and you will see it. It will trickle back into the economy, and you will see what will happen. People will, the Juakali sector will start benefiting, because the target was at least ule jamaa wa Juakali can get about 50,000 to 250,000 as loan. And I believe they have stopped it because it is no longer targeting their interest. It's no longer targeting their interest. Their interest is strictly in the informal sector. So once they get into the informal sector, you'll see how the Juakali artisans will be happy with the money, and they'll be repaying it back, and it will be trickling back into the economy. That is how governments are built, and that's how strong economies are built. So Ruto dared. Okay, niulize.
Now, if you look at the market forces, kuna hii demand and supply, and ukiangalia hii maneno ya sijui competitive market, unaona kuna rules governing the market. Huwezi kuja tukiuza mayai, huwezi kuja unauza mayai yako shilingi 2. That's according to the government, like I mean economy. Alafu mimi the price of the market in the market ni 10. Wewe unakuja unauza mayai shilingi 2. Unajua hiyo haiwezekani, si ndio? Number 2, ukiangalia
si ati haiwezekani. Wewe you being
inawezekana sababu inawezekana uko chini, lakini ukiangalia ukiweka hizi policies za market, hiyo haiwezekani. Number 2, ukiangalia hiyo M-Shwari imekuwa na interest rate zake. Why would the government come to kill all these small lending institutions? Don't you think wako na agenda? Mbona unaleta hii ya chini Why don't you negotiate with these people in the market?
To answer you, you've heard about chamas, eh? Kulikuwa na hizi vitu zinaitwa machama. Chama, wamama wanakopa chama. What are the interest rates in those chamas? Ama Shylock, tuseme Shylock, not chamas, Shylock. Shylock, nani amewahi kopa pesa kwa Shylock? Shylock are some illegal businesses going on that are not regulated by law. But ukienda kukopa pale, what are the interest? Jamaa anakuambia terms zake vile anataka. Jatelo, the market is like that. I have a product mkate nimeleta, na wewe pia uko na product ya mkate umeleta, yako ni 100, yangu I have decided to sell it at 200 bob. Another person has decided to sell the same product at 50 shillings. It is not regulated. You can sell the way you want. Now in the banking, in banking, KCB, Standard, National Bank, Barclays, they have got all different interest rates on their loans, even on mortgages, even government mortgages. If you get a mortgage from National Housing Corporation and somebody else gets a mortgage from Barclays, you'll find that the mortgage you get from probably National Bank and Barclays are totally different. So it's not, it's competition. It is competition at the end of the day. So each and every
the gap, the difference, is it a big gap? That's where I was asking. This regulation, it gives a room of overlapping.
So okay. For the Hustler Fund, I think it is 8%. For this other institution is 15%. Kina hiyo Fuliza, kina nani, I think they are ranging to 15. The lowest ile nakaribia Hustler Fund, I think ni 8.5. 8.5, I think I read somewhere 8.5.
The land of Fuliza itself, you remember it was almost 360 bana.
Wow.
Yeah, Fuliza borrowing. The interest in Fuliza, it was over 300%. Anyway, the thing is, what was the objective of all this? Jatelo is arguing like an economy. There is no economics here. It is who knows the more propaganda and how to get what they want. First of all, remember, Kenyan votes are being looked for here. Whichever way you convince them, they may not have to follow any economic rules or market forces. So long as by the end of the day, they get what they want. And that's why I was telling you that KRA, by the end of the day, are going to be the biggest beneficiaries here. Forget about even UDA. Forget about the social factor that these people are struggling to bring here. By the end of the day, KRA are going to be the biggest beneficiary. They are going to have a database which they had no way of getting from the Juakali sector. No wonder, to demonstrate their commitment, UDA has gone ahead and factored all this in their budget estimates. If they did not do this Hustler thing, that projection, 2 trillion informal sector presumptive tax would not have been there. It would not have been there. So,
there is somebody on the comment section ameniuliza ati anaitwa Ida Barak at Mzalendo, which president, country or government lends money to its citizen? I think you probably don't read world news. You need to watch a lot of CNN, BBC, and know the countries that lend money to its citizen.
No, leave alone even lending.
gives the plus housing. Yes. Plus when you finish university, you are paid a salary just for not working. Plus government inakubembeleza uapply, uonyeshe umeapply kazi mara 3 ndio wakupatie pesa na umekosa hizo kazi. There are countries that offer that, my friend. It's only that you need to have a little bit of exposure.
This Jatel has gone where we needed to tell him the other thing about the hustler thing is
He's
that,
on the background. He's on
well,
the
anyway,
background.
the thing is that, you know, some of these fellows, they have been very active in Tala, in Fuliza, in Mshwari, in the banks, and all these fellows. Now, the best way to grow an economy is to facilitate the conducive economic environment for economic activities to take place. Now, to that extent, the UDA government got it wrong through this hustler thing, because instead of facilitating growth of the economy and business activities, business exchanges, they are actually limiting them by introducing this hustler fund at very low interest rates, which cannot even, normally market rate interest is based on cost of funds. The money they are giving people under the hustler thing, the cost of funds is almost like nothing, because it is KRA's money. Eh? Even the interest rate they are put there is just for the sake of it. It is not competitive. That is not what the market forces are dictating. No. So to that extent, I think Chaka, you are
Oh, poleni,
Amudume.
poleni. Lakini
yeah. So I was saying that to that extent, they are frustrating the economic growth in the country. And the sooner they do away with the hustler fund, the better for serious, realistic economic activities to take place. By undercutting the tellers so that they go out of business, because they can't compete with hustler. The Fulizers, they can't compete with hustler. If you look at the terms, they can't. So it means that all those other business activities are going to fizzle out unless something is done about it.
The government is simply forcing them to reduce their interest rate.
Well,
so that we get into the
interest rates should be
competitive
dictated. Mazalendo, interest rates should be dictated by economic activities, the happenings in a liberalized economy. You cannot force people to reduce interest rates against market forces. You will be dwarfing the economy for no reason. There'll be a complete stagnant economic growth.
I think what I was saying is that if there are many players in that sector, in the financial market, then the interest rates are going to go down because of competition. So everybody will be scrambling to get the cheapest loan from the best institution that is offering a cheap loan. That is my point.
Well, anyway, let me just say one more thing. You remember I told you that KRA have budgeted 5 billion to 7 billion annually for the hustler to write off. Let me put it that way. So anybody who is looking for competition, there is no competition here, Zalend. This is dished money free of charge. You remember I told you that even if you default, nothing will happen to you. In fact, when some Azimio fellows were saying that they will not be paying, that the UDA expected that. The Asla Fund designers expected that to happen. You see, you can't come here, you are prepared to incur losses at the expense of killing proper economic players in the market. You are dwarfing, you are stagnating the Kenyan economy. In fact, I think the economic growth in September, there's a time Makiadi had given us here the economic growth in July, August, and September. In September, everything, when these people rolled out their Hustler Fund in October here, everything went completely down.
Unaona, nakumbuka by and large we are just speculating. There are other forces. Kuna world economy, issues of inflation, issue of COVID, issue of gas prices. There's so many things that are tied to the economy that we could be speculating here the whole day. Even superpowers like America have not even hacked it. So a small country like Kenya, I don't expect it to get a solution anytime soon. So, but by and large, we are in the right direction with the hustler. The other time they were here in the US, I think they gave the IMF the economic plan, which IMF really approved that Ruto had a very brilliant economic plan for the country. So the guys who are giving you money have decided that the country is headed to the right direction with a good economic plan. So who are we? Let us wait and see. Otherwise, we'll just be speculating here.
Mzalendo, the things we are complaining here about Hustler Fund, the IMF would never have known. You see, now they are going to be taxing. I'm sending my child pocket money. It is going to be taxed. It is going to attract this presumptive tax. That is the truth of the matter. The IMF have no idea about that. These are social issues which the IMF have no idea.
From the discussions that we've had, there is only one thing that is coming out, and it is a fact that has always been coming out, that the issue of a hustler fund, it was an idea that would have been good if they made the structures and thought of it well. But as it is currently, the hustler fund that we are having is of no benefit to Kenyans. If somebody maybe thinks Mzalendo talked of their restructuring, I don't think there's a restructuring happening. That one shows lack of plan. They said they had a plan. So if that was, they did not tell us that give us a chance, they will plan. So there's no need of discussing how they are planning when they told us they had a plan. You cannot come and say, I have a plan, I want to build a house. Then you start building the house and you realize that you didn't have a plan. Then you now tell me, okay, I'll be planning as I'm building. Hakuna nyumba utajenga, nyumba itapomoka. Hizo ndo nyumba zitapomoka. For you to build, you need to sit down, draw your plan, and come when you are ready. So maybe
Leo, for you to restructure means, what does to restructure mean? It means they were on the wrong footing.
Exactly. That is what
Mzalendo should not come and mislead us. They are now looking.
So the hustler fund and the hustler thing, those are just waste of money, and those are cash cows for specific individuals, and we can just call it the name it deserves. It is a pyramid scheme to get the money from the public coffers, that is to get the money from the treasury, pretending that they are giving people loans. If they get 50 billion and they pretend using 10 billion, they are going to remain with the largest share, that is 40 billion, that is going to pay some ghost workers that are there that we don't know. So let us proceed with our discussion. We are still discussing the issue of not Jacaranda, but Kabukunji. And we are also interested in knowing how the parents are going to pay school fee on Monday. Remember, Baba is going to have a meeting on Monday. The same Monday, some parents will be lining on the banks to pay school fee. Do they really have money? They planned maybe with the amount that they used to pay previously, but they are going to get shocked, as some of them already shocked when they received the fee structure. So that is what we want to discuss right now. It's good I've seen Roba is in. So Roba will welcome you. Karibu zungumze na sisi.
Thank you once again. I think I was here, then I left before Bernard left also. So Mr. Unknown Script, Jose, I can see that. Jose, let me start here. Chaka, thank you. I always see you, your contribution. You are a straight shooter. Musarendo, Musarendo. I know the time you came in, I've been watching you. There's one thing. Also, you are a professor. Some of us are in profession. But Musarendo, let me tell you one thing. You can't come here and start giving people information without sources. That's a lie. If it's what you are one of my students, you give me whatever the way you have been representing yourself, you get 0. Let me tell you one thing. Where you just said a few minutes ago, you talked of IMF approving. That's a lie statement. Tell me where that one is. That's a lie statement. Then you came and talked about a few hours ago when you're here. You talked of Smith doing this. There are some things here you quoted. And when somebody asked you, where are you getting this information? I think it's Bernard. You told me it's just out there. If you don't have your sources, you cannot come here and just say what you want to say. That's not good. You don't have your sources. Or if you have your sources, put them in front of you, say, you know what, from so and so, that's where I'm getting this information. Okay, let me just go back to my representation, the way I see it. I think our country went wrong. And whoever comes here and talks about Kibaki, hell, Kibaki is the one who messed up our country. He messed up Kenya. He's the chief of all presidents. If it was not him, maybe Kenya would be somewhere else. Maybe we could have gone to a different trajectory. Here is what I mean. We got a new constitution. A person who never won the 2007 election, he got defeated. He lost like I don't know what. Then he came in. After he came in, he's the first president ever to sit on a new constitution. Come 2030, what did he do? He saw the opportunity of his tribesmen coming in. And what they did was they stole the election. Uhuru has told us that. The election was stolen. You don't need to go anywhere. My source is Uhuru. Msareno. Uhuru said, oh, they stole the election. Why? I don't know. So the same cartels, the same people, they have been the people who have been just like they know who's going to be the president. So if somebody else, if Kibaki could have just said 2010 the constitution after he was going out and say, you know what, people praise him. Oh, Kibaki was quiet. Kibaki beyond the scenes, behind the scenes, we know what he did. He stole that direction. Then from there, people keep on just saying he's the one who economy. It was Raila and the Nusmukat government. We know what happened. They built the economy. And you know what? The economy was not all that good, like some people are saying. It's because we came from Nyayo era. And something's better than nothing. And there's one person who said, after the election of Khan being defeated, investors, they came to the country. They said, we want to invest. So I'm one person. I always say, Kibaki is the one who messed up our country. When you got a new constitution, instead of him to defend that constitution to make sure that it does what it was supposed to do, fair election. Instead, he went behind the scenes, and since then, somebody tell me, how many years now? Almost 60 years independence. Kikuyu Karenjin. At least the election was fair because Ukabiri Kwepo. Nonsense. And I'm just here to say one thing. If it is true, I don't know, because I need evidence. If it's true, from what's being said, that Raila won the election with 8 million. You know what? I'm not one person who just come and start ringing the bell or just come and say, oh, yes, he won. No. I want to see the evidence before I make a conclusion. But if it's true, and I'm convinced that Raila won, then it's time for us to go back and say what's going on. Then I will just say, sorry, Kenya is going to be two countries. Mark my words. Mark my words. If the evidence comes out that Raila won the election, but this guy, the conman, is the president, Kenya is going to be divided. And I don't care. But at this time, I'm just waiting. I want to see the evidence. Going forward, let me just encourage everybody. When we come here, so we have to know there's a country we care for, a country we love. But at the same time, we cannot sit down and watch democracy, the so-called democracy. But my question I keep on asking myself, hii democracy, yaani nasikia tu Wakikuyu na Wakalenjin ndio inakuwa democracy. What about other tribes? What about other tribes? Something's not right. Something is wrong somewhere. There are nice people from central Kenya. There are nice people from Kalenjin, but within them, there are some cartels. And something is wrong. Something's wrong somewhere. Now, Wakenya tumekuwa like every time, yani kitu kadogo tunatanganywa, then we just say yes. You guys, you are talking about Asra. I don't know how you call it, Asra Fund or whatever fund, whatever name you call it. I mean, that's a disaster. The one thing, I think the one thing which is I sympathize right now, when these guys came in, if the economy was doing better and other things, I think that one they could have survived. Kind of, people would just like, let's move on. But the way things are, yes, you have to be careful. People are mad. People are angry right now. But also, let's be cautious. Let's be cautious. Let us not be one-sided when it comes to mambo ya election. Kama Raila alishindwa, Ruto is the president. If that's the case, then we just say he's the president. We move on. But kama waliiba kura, and it's proven, not mambo ya kuja hapa kutuambia ofyo hapana. I want real evidence that, I mean, to tell the truth, if someone asked me who won the election, I would say Raila won. I would say that from what I gathered myself, from the way it was, people will take a change. But at the same time, if there were some other things I didn't know, I'm open-minded. Let's see what happens. If now what wanaenda Kamkunji and other people, just be peaceful. That's what we can request that. Mambo ya violence and other things, I think it cannot help. But if there's evidence, ikure then Ruto has to resign. He has to resign. If he doesn't, then he's going to get it very rough. Everybody's going to fight him, and Kenya will never be the same. But if there's no evidence, and it's mambo ya kusema sema, okay, that's fine. We move on. I want evidence. At this point, I want evidence. That's what I can say that. Let me niachie hapo. But I'll say if you have a question, I'll take it. I don't know, Mr. Rayo.
Yeah, Mzalendo, nitakuuliza tu swali kwa sababu umenitaja sana.
Yes.
That I don't have facts when I come here. Before IMF ikupatie pesa yoyote, hela yoyote, they have to review your financial plan for the country. Before uone hizo subsidies zilitolewa, they have to read your document ndio wakupatie hela. Na kabla pia ukukae kujua Uhuru alishanyimwa pesa. because alishazidi ile debt limit yake ile anafaa kuchukua. So Ruto gave them a good proposal. You go and read the IMF report. That one I give you some homework on how they give out their money. Now, on issue of, I think earlier on you mentioned Jeffrey Smith. I don't talk just from a point of misinformation. Jeffrey Smith, the founder of Democracy Advocacy in Africa, was advancedly mentioned that yeye anajua hii maneno. Amekataa that whatever Kenyans are talking about that is associated with the whistleblower thing is totally misinformation and wrong and propaganda. In fact, this is what he said. He said the Kenyan election at this point in time, even if there were mistakes, the mistakes were so minimal that they could not change even the results of the presidential election. Go find out. It is not that I come here and just talk without facts. I have those facts. Thank
Mzalendo
you,
iko
Robert.
wapi? You tell us where go and find
Okay,
out.
Mzalendo, when you say he said
Give us where we are going to get it.
What the sources?
Kwambia, I have told you kama ni mambo ya IMF, just Google IMF. Jeffrey Smith, his latest statement was on Twitter. Just go to your Twitter account and
his Twitter handle. I can't find that information.
Oh, you can't find it. You can't find it. I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you.
He was a founder. He's not the one who personally conducted the investigations. It was conducted by he was the founder of that organization. That organization is the one who conducted the investigation.
Which organization conducted which investigation?
The Kenyan election.
So you already have the information and you're asking me for the information.
No, I'm saying Jeffrey Smith himself was not the one who did this. The organization which he founded.
Yeah, that is his organization. That is his organization. The organization cannot do anything without the CEO knowing what they're doing in Africa.
He's a founder, not the CEO. He's a founder. He's not the CEO.
Yeah, he's a founder. He's the head of that organization. I'm just giving you a term.
Hii mentality ambayo uko nayo, like somebody you found something, so you are the one to say everything. What happens? I think that's a wrong mentality. There are some people who founded something, but whatever happens here, they're not responsible. If somebody else within that organization went ahead and they did investigation, they found out, which I don't know.
You see,
if that's a case, then just
what Robert, just read more about Jeffrey Smith. You will know a lot about what he has been doing. His advocacy on democracy in Africa and throughout the world. I mean, let us not debate about it. If it's something that you have not read, then go and read about it.
Read where? I'm not to read kitu ambayo iko paper ni ile ulikuwa unaambiwa the other when you went to school, the higher you go the cooler it becomes, and inasaidia nini? You know, it's just like you are telling me unaniambia niende kusoma wapi sasa? That's why I say,
yes, Kanyabaya, can I ask something, please?
Oh, let us hear from Vicky Brian. You know, Mzalendo, you live engage him up to morning, and he will keep on taking you rounds. He will never answer any question straight because he knows very well he will not substantiate. So, Vicky, karibu.
Okay, thank you. First of all, Mzalendo, I know him. He's my nephew or something. Okay? So when I say that, he probably should understand that I know him. And I know where he's coming from. I understand his frustrations, why he's speaking like this. But he's a good guy. He comes here and entertains you. And you have a very good debate. I understand you, Mzalendo. Okay? I know why you have the beef with ODM, and it is justified. Okay. But one thing I want to ask you, Mzalendo, I think you present yourself as an ICT expert or something.
Oh, no.
All right. If
No.
you are not, then let me ask you. The IBC system was designed so that the field officers, the so-called returning officers, or deputy returning officer, or wherever they are at the polling station, they were supposed to be sending JPEG document to the IBC portal. The reason for that is obvious. Then we found that whatever was accessible in the public portal was JPEG document, was a PDF document.
PDF.
What was the reason for change of the policy? Because
Now,
you don't know.
Can I attempt to answer your question?
Yes.
I will say the lawyers, the IBC lawyers.
No. Don't tell me what the lawyers were thinking. Tell me what you think. I'm asking you. I'm
I
not
don't.
able to ask the lawyers.
This is how that question was posed because you didn't
No.
even know.
In your opinion, I don't want any other person who cannot defend or herself here.
I can defend myself. Why?
Yes, yourself,
why
not the lawyer. Don't speak for the lawyers.
The issue of JPEG and PDF were all cooked up stories.
Then I'm sorry.
That is
You
what
are arguing with the political mindset. But I'm telling you for a fact that JPEG document you cannot change, right? You cannot edit, but the PDF document can be edited, right? So that is the reason why Chebukati, in his wisdom, decided to change JPEG document to PDF before posting them to public portal. And I am just surprised with Kenyan lawyers. They could not understand this kind of stuff because this is something which was designed so that whatever leaves the polling station should be the exact document that is accessible in the public portal. But now it is changed into something that somebody can manipulate. How or now do you accept this?
Correct.
And that is the argument of the lawyers. In fact, the lawyers know very well that this is a flawed process, and they went on and accepted. Okay? And any sane Kenyan should understand this, because even the elections that Madaga nullified, this idea of PDF did not rise at that point. This is the new invention by Professor Dr. William Ruto. And Mzalendo, you are here defending this. I think you are defending this for, I know your reasons, but
can I explain
I know your reasons. I don't want to put them here.
PDF and JPEG because you've tried to
explain. Mzalendo, I know where you're coming from. I told you are my nephew. Okay? So I don't want to say why you are bitter.
No, we know why.
Because you know it.
This is not his first time here. We know why it's Peter. We know that. And to add on
Roba, you don't know. Roba, you don't know.
No, Musalenda has been here before. It's a
couple of weeks ago when I've never been here before, but I've been listening. But I know why it's bitter.
What has that to do with the JPEG and PDF?
Okay, Musalendo,
Can I explain JPEG and PDF
When you
just
explain that,
once and for all? And
okay, no,
I will
Mr.
not
Rendo.
explain this again.
Okay, when you
No,
before you
Just
explain
1
that,
minute, Robert, please. Just 1 minute.
I just want to ask you. You just give me the whole thing. When you are submitting that, telling us what PDF and other things are. My question to you is, in order for us to square this thing, we put it straightforward and move on. Open the servers. Open the servers. Then from there, we can do all this. If the truth is, kama Raila alishindwa, alishindwa. Kama alishinda tujue hapo. Open them. Because we can go back and open them. Kama kuna, if you don't open them, then you are liars. You are lying. That the truth comes out. Open the servers.
Robert, let me tell you what is wrong with Musalendo. Musalendo contested an MCA seat in Kenya. Okay, he contested when he was in Washington D.C., where he's coming from now.
How
Okay?
could I contest and I'm in Washington DC?
You send your money,
Because you
and that
voted for
money,
last
I don't know
election,
whether it is
election
20,000. It is the problem you have with ODM. Okay, so why are you coming here to confuse Kenya? Because you sent some 20,000 to ODM, and they come on, my brother, 20,000 is $200.
Anyway, I
Right?
don't think you have got the right information. But since you brought it up, then probably we can discuss it the whole day. The issue was JPEG and PDF.
No, but why are you avoiding this now? I'm telling them in public now. Because I've had you here for a long time, and I just want to tell them that Musalendo is accusing like this because he sent $200 to ODM as a party in
what was that money meant for? What was that money meant
about this?
What was that money meant for?
All contestants pay some fee.
Do you know how much? Do you even know how much they pay?
Some little money.
So you don't talk about things that you don't know.
Some little money, because I know the member of parliament pay about 250. MCS pay 20,000 thereabout. Okay. So this is the bitterness you have.
Right. Okay, you are right. Yeah. Let's assume you're right. Yeah.
So what is this bitterness? This thing is you are bringing here to confuse these people because of that little money. Why?
Okay, listen. I
know the nominations were fucked up. Okay.
So you know what
I know the nominations were not fair. But even if they were fair, my friend, I even told you we had once met in Nairobi. If you can remember this face.
Let me see your face because you are hiding.
You know Ken was your friend, right?
Oh, Ken Wodawasi. Ken
yes,
is your friend.
See, I met you there.
You know Ken.
My friend, I know you. At a minute, you know me. I told you in Yakwara or something, right?
You don't even know our relationship with you.
Okay.
Okay, since you know me so well.
So I know where you are coming from.
I know.
Don't confuse this guy. This guy, Robai, comes from Kisii. He doesn't know you. Kenyan here, she comes from Central. She doesn't know you. These people, but I know you are beef with ODM. Why do you bring this petty nonsense here every single day?
Listen, here we come to discuss issues that affect the country.
Let's be fair. He has a right to say what he says is like any Kenyan. That's fine.
No, but he's coming here with a fixed mindset to confuse you guys.
Do you have anything personal with me? Is there anything of yours that
the personal thing I have now is just because you are distorting the truth, all right, to confuse people here.
Like which truth? Like the truth that you've just spoken?
You are talking about JPEG and PDF. Can you tell me anything about it?
Let me tell you what JPEG and PDF is, because yes, you are right in some areas, but you are very ignorant in some areas. A JPEG document can be changed into a PDF with a software. You have to know that. and the documents that were being sent to alter those documents. And remember, these are documents that are written in Biro. They are written, they are unwritten. Your signature is there. Your signature, when it appears on a PDF form, I changed the way you're arguing is that the JPEG documents were changed into PDF so that they could be edited. So you can imagine all the agents you had throughout the country, their signatures being altered so that it can favor the candidate of your choice. And you have to copy them accurately, then download the same document into the server, then Chebukati can access it. That's what you are saying, literally, which
Thank
is
you, Mr.
not
for explaining
practical.
that. But the issue here is not that one. I think you've explained it truly. The problem here, the issue was I send a document as a JPEG. What happens in between me? For example, I want to send you a JPEG. I want to send you an image through your phone. If I send you as an image, you should receive it as a JPEG, not as a PDF. So that was the thing that was being contested. They were sent as JPEG. How come they reached as PDF? So they were not able to prove the point of changing or doing the conversion. It can be done using a software, but this software was not configured with the KIMS kits that were being used. So how comes they were being sent as JPEG but received as a PDF? That is what was being contested.
Now, Leo,
yeah.
Leo, let me tell you one thing.
Leo.
A JPEG document, which is a picture, can be converted to a PDF. The signature will remain the same, but what they were doing was doctoring the numbers of votes. Because in the PDF document, you can rub and rewrite. And with the computers, you can choose any kind of pen. If it is a black biro, you can choose black ink and write the votes. Period.
For how many polling stations?
All of them, they can do it. Why do you think that is not possible?
The argument is that in IT, the way you are saying, whenever you open a document, there is always the file number, the place that you open the document, the time that you altered the document, and the time that you sent it. If you didn't have good lawyers to execute that in court, then I'm sorry. I am very, very, very sorry, because that's good evidence enough.
That is why I said that Kenyan lawyers, I don't know what they have a way of thinking, including the judges. They don't think with in technology in mind. Okay, fake. Because they did not ask for these time signatures.
Fake.
Okay.
That one.
But you know this, and you will keep these guys arguing about nonsensical issues here.
Fake.
Let's get some concern from Kenyan Arari.
Thank you.
What Mzalendo will also agree with us is that the case that was in court, you're not discussing the court because the court was already compromised. So no amount of evidence would have changed the verdict. So let us not go into that. The court already had made their decision. Just like when Ruto tells you that he wants to form a commission, no commission will Ruto form that will give you the truth. It is a commission that is already compromised. The findings have already been documented, and they're already writing the findings. That is why we are opposed to Ruto's commission. If we have to do an audit, then we can have some independent commission to do it. So that is...
No, before Red comes in, he never answered my question. Musarenda, I asked you a question. Don't you think it's time for us to open the servers? We know what happened. You have not answered me on that.
I think it is time the servers should be opened, because we normally have a divisive election. I've said that time and again, and that is the reason why Chebukati released his report, and the president said that a task force or a commission of inquiry should be started so that we know exactly what happened, and the commission should be bipartisan, because people like Leo will not agree with the outcome of the commission. You know, Kenya, everything is politicized. Even when somebody is trying to tell you the truth, you'll always bring politics in it. So if this is going to solve our election problem, then Roba, I agree with you. Let the servers be open.
Habari, karibu. Guru, tumekuona, tunakufikia tu.
Now, guys, I have been listening to Mzalendo, and there was a day I was here with Mzalendo. I had to quit. I had to leave. Another day, I had to leave again. Because Mzalendo, really, the arguments that he brings on the table, it can make you feel very bad. It's like an insult. It's like you are arguing with somebody who don't want to hear the truth or to know the right thing. Ask Mzalendo, if somebody was arrested with his TV that he has stolen from Mzalendo, and they go to court, and this guy who stole was acquitted, I asked Mzalendo, what would you call that man even if he was acquitted? He said, I can't call him anything because the judge has ruled and he's acquitted him. So I asked him straightforward question, is this not a thief? He said, no, I can't call him a thief because the judge has ruled on his favor. Do you see, guys, how Mzalendo argue? This is already a thief who have stolen him a TV. He don't have a TV in the house, and he is not going to call him a thief because the judge has ruled on the favor of the thief. So when we see such kind of people, we cannot argue with them and get anywhere. We'll be lost. So let's not waste our time. If it is JPEG document and it is changed to PDF, that was not the agreement. That was not constitutional. Constitutionally, it was supposed to be JPEG, to the other side JPEG, so that we don't have any excuse of saying that something has been altered or something has been tampered. So for Mzalendo to keep on telling us about what do you think happened, we don't want to answer that questions. You know very well that the document that was needed the other side was supposed to be similar to the document that was taken in the very beginning place. And that's final. Even in court, if you people, you can remember, there was one document was shown by that lady, I don't know whether it is Soweto, and she said this was this number and it was changed to this number. And that was enough for the judges to see that was an evidence. When the server was said to be open, they refused to open because the company that owns that server, they said they have got their own information there. Why do you go have contract with the people's information in the contract, in the machine that we are really contracting and we are paying for it? These were all shambles, and these are all elements of evidence to show that even those judges, they are irrelevant. They don't know what they are doing. We lay past people, we understand even more than those people who have gone in class to do law. But they have done law, but they want to fool us, but we understand better. For me, that was a shamble. That was not a ruling. That was a friendly ruling to benefit Ruto. That's all. So for us here, we understand that the ruling was against us because they didn't want us to be the leader of the country. That's all. Otherwise, everything was done correctly. but it was damaged by the few who colluded with the judges, those Supreme Court judges. That's the point I wanted to make. And Mzalendo, don't waste people's time arguing with it or what is right, making it look bad. Somebody there said, these are people who are told this is black and they say this is white. We cannot argue with such kind of people. We will waste a lot of time. We want to move forward. Let Baba give us away and let him get his win back. Thank you.
Thank you. Wacha tusikize kutoka kwa Guru.
Habari ya kila mtu. Mko salama?
Kila mtu tuko salama.
Asante sana. Today I've heard something I can agree with Mzalendo. Let the servers be opened. For a very long time, this country has suffered periods of instability because of compromised elections. And this culture, if not stopped, could lead us in the down path that many African countries have taken. Because when you steal the ability of the people to choose the leadership that they want, when you deny them that right, it becomes a seed that can lead the country towards disintegration. Why? Because people go to elect leaders with a belief that this leadership they are putting in power will be sensitive to their interests and their needs. So the moment the citizenry perceives that whatever they do, there is a Kamago sitting in the background, manipulating figures to give a leadership, then that in itself constitutes the first building block towards the disintegration of the nation. Now, we have had crisis of confidence for all the elections that we have held since the multipartyism. We may not even go back before we adopted the multi-party system. But let's just confine ourselves to the multi-party period. Except for the elections held in 2002, though the other elections have ended up with a confidence crisis in our country because there's been a perception that these elections have been rigged in favor of specific leaderships or leaders. What happened in August cannot stand. Why? Because this is taking rigging to the next level. This is high level conspiracy involving multiple of institutions and perhaps personalities in power to circumvent the rights of the people. Democracy. It was never envisaged in our constitution that an independent body like IEBC could be infiltrated and turned into a stooge of a political formation or of particular personalities. So therefore, we are in what Bernard said the other day, uncharted waters. We thought we have put enough safeguards, including even the Supreme Court, where one could run to. You are aware that 2007, when it happened, the greatest problem we had was that those who were denied their right to leadership felt that the court system was totally compromised, was weak, and therefore could not deliver justice. And therefore, the Supreme Court, which came with the 2010 Constitution, gave a bit of confidence that one could walk into the court after the elections and provide evidence. And he did. You know what happened in 2017. Today, I'm not very sure that if there is a controversy in 2027 over elections, even those who feel dissatisfied won't be confident enough to move to court, to move their case to the Supreme Court. And that in itself constitutes a very serious crisis for the country, because the alternative is the streets, square it out there. You're also aware we have a long history of fighting for these rights, starting with the chasing away of the colonialists. And the very basis was that the African was discriminated against, was not well represented in the range corps, and was denied rights. And even some sections of the population were not supposed to vote, like the women. So when you trace our history, coming all the way to fighting for multi-party system, it's been long, it's been bloody, it's been rigorous, tiring, resource draining, and so on and so forth. But you know, for every step made, there are saboteurs who will always come to circumvent the very thing that you have already acquired. Today, we have a great challenge in our elections that has been brought by adoption of the technology, which we thought initially was to come and facilitate free, fair, verifiable elections. But it has turned the other way. It's actually a facilitator of rigging, which we had not seen or foreseen. So therefore, the Kenyan population has been failed by the IBC for failure to conduct free, fair, and verifiable elections. The Kenyan people have been failed by the Supreme Court for not taking seriously the issue of vote rigging in the country. And therefore, what we are now heading to is a situation of confidence crisis for the major institutions that would minimize conflict in our society. You are also aware we are surrounded by countries that have serious political problems. We have Southern Sudan, we have Somalia, we have Ethiopia, we have Burundi, which was under major crisis just some few years ago. And the others are not as stable as you could tell, because when you have a country where one political party sweeps over 97% of the seats, then that cannot qualify as a multi-party state. We have another one with a dictator posing as a democrat. And therefore, Kenya, where we are actually at the apex in terms of democracy, free will to express ourselves. And Kenyans have not failed to express themselves. What has happened is that a few political elite have conspired to make sure that things go their way, not the way of the people. So therefore, Kenyans have a leeway to reclaim their right constitutionally. The good thing is that our constitution gives us the right to even represent ourselves. It has two levels. We can either represent ourselves as the public directly, and we have been given tools to do that. We can even force a referendum. We can also use a representation, the MPs, the senators. So therefore, if there is incontrovertible evidence that the elections of August were rigged, as it seems, then there is no other option but for the people to put it clearly that that cannot stand. Because if we allow this, we are done. We will be back to where we were in 1990s and 80s, where we had no right, we could not find a way of expressing ourselves and be heard. Because when you have a system where people are rigged in by a particular political class or elite, they are only answerable to that person or that formation. They are not answerable to the people. Now, we are waiting for Baba tomorrow. I understand he's arriving tomorrow. And I also want to caution that this is not about Baba, because there are people who think that what Raila Amolo Odinga is doing is just pursuit for power, for its own sake. No. Raila is an expression of interests of millions of Kenyans. And in fact, the last general elections, he got even more Kenyans on his side, including in central Kenya. That's why a huge population of people in central Kenya were shocked at the results and kept quiet. But they know how they voted. They did not vote for Ruto, especially the population that had gone through the Moi era. They were cadred, they were firm, and they voted for Baba. Let him come and let him know mambo ya handshake hiyo hakuna. You'd rather look for all other avenues through the millions of Kenyans who have given him the goodwill until the wrongs are brought to an end. Otherwise, in absence of that, I do not see why then Kenyans will go to vote in 2027. It will be a waste of time if a certain political formation can compromise the whole system. I understand it was a conspiracy taking part several years going backwards, getting everybody in place of power, compromising, and so on and so forth. According to that report, over 1,000 or thereabouts of the results that were sent to the server were coming from outside the country. So you can see how huge this conspiracy was. In fact, that's an international crime against the state. When you have foreigners, let me call them that because I don't know whether they are Kenyans who are posted out of this country to post the results. But assuming these people are foreigners who infiltrated our electoral system to bring forth a result that is not a reflection of the Kenyan people and their will, then that can be termed as a crime against the state, which attracts some of the heaviest penalties ever. If you go to the history of the nations, there is nothing as bad as foreigners participating, infiltrating, and doing either espionage or treason or coup against the will of the people. And this seems to have been the case in the Kenyan case. A very serious offense, a very serious crime that cannot stand. Not unless we want to lose our sovereignty and become a Pudu state for some unknown interest out there, because those who did that must have an interest in our country, perhaps very bad interests that would injure the population of Kenya. So I agree with Mzalendo for the first time on that statement. Let us open the servers. No matter how ugly the situation could be, let us know the truth. Because even when you have a wound, whichever part of the body, you got to undress so that that wound can be dressed and medicine applied. And then the healing starts. Thank you very much. Leo.
Thank you, Guru, for such a wonderful presentation. In fact, what happened, we need also to hold these foreigners culpable because of what they did is interfering with our sovereignty, coming to interfere with some of the core things. You know, something like an election is something that is so important that if a foreigner or foreign countries can interfere with, it means they are still colonizing us. That is why I'm normally against these Westerners who keep on telling Raila to embrace peace for the sake of which country? They are not members of this country. When they had their issues, like in the Americans, I did not see African leaders telling them what to do. So it's only when things happen in Kenya or in Africa that they want to pop their noses and try dictating us what we are supposed to do. So we should not be lowering ourselves to an extent that we allow these people to recolonize us. We are independent countries. We are sovereign countries. We need to make independent decisions. And some of these people, we hire their gadgets, we hire their expertise, but we don't hire their opinion. That is where they go wrong. They go overboard to making for us decisions, which is not right. We are a sovereign country and they need to respect our sovereignty. We are not puppets of any country in Europe or in the eastern parts of the world. They should be told to know that, they should be able to know that. They cannot just keep on manipulating us each and every time and bringing us their policies. They want to come and force us some of their cultures that are not part of our culture. That is not wrong. That is not right. And we need to stand and tell them, no, we are independent. Allow us to operate independently. We can only engage on matters that are mutual, and we engage as partners with equal rights, or maybe we have to negotiate and agree on the basics of our engagements, but we cannot engage at a level whereby you see us as your juniors and people you can just manipulate and control. It is really wrong that it still happens in the 21st century. So we need strong leaders who can stand and tell any other country that want to infringe on our country. I'm trying to imagine. I remember last time there is a point that Uhuru said that, you see, there was this issue of the sea, that part of the coastline. Uhuru said that we are not going to leave not even an inch of the country. Yeah, I also read of stories of Jomo Kenyatta telling the Ugandan counterpart that we are not going to allow you to take not even an inch from our country. I wonder if Ruto can do that, because Ruto will tell you, okay, let us just leave for them that piece of land, then we negotiate. Because in terms of negotiating, that if somebody picked your land, what happens is you go and negotiate. How do we negotiate and the land is mine? Because these crooked courts allowed him to negotiate after taking the land from Mutesh. So he thinks that we should just be negotiating each and everything. The same way he wants us to negotiate. Oh, you see, you people, you won the elections, but because of peace. No, there's nothing like peace. And it's true that we are happy as Kenyans that Raila is finally coming, and is coming back to tell us that we need to get what belongs to us. Because there's somebody called Emiliano Zapata who said that if there is no justice for the people, let there be no peace for the government. So the government should only enjoy peace if there is justice. But the moment justice is not there, the government should not know peace. We should disturb them. The only thing that brings peace is justice. So there should be no peace without justice. Chaka, you wanted to say something, or somebody's talking of somebody's son. Museveni's son, that is a joker. But what I know from what he's also going to use the tactics of Ruto, and he's going to become the next president of Uganda. And I'm sorry for them. And if you are not careful, he might even overthrow his father. Not that serious, maybe takeover, but they might play games and they might play minds, and they might play holy the way Ruto plays holy in church and capturing church. So he might play holy and tell Ugandans that, you see, my father is really doing some injustice to you, so I disagree with him, let me overthrow him. And that is how he'll find himself as a president. So if Ugandans are not learning anything, they need to come in this channel. We tell them that that boy is going to become the next president. That boy might. Yeah, don't be surprised if you hear that he overthrows his father and he becomes the president. So everything is planned. That is why he keeps on talking nonsense that he can capture Nairobi. And I wonder why these guys still allow him to make such pronunciations. We should send him the G4S to go and arrest him and bring him and frog march him up to Kamukunji, so that we show him some discipline. Chaka, you don't want to, Guru, you want to say something?
Yes, I think, Leo, I think people may take it as a joke, but for Kenyans to have consciously conspired with foreigners to circumvent the rights of a Kenyan people to determine their leadership, that is the highest level of a crime against the state and the people of Kenya. And there are people who have talked about ICC. We as Kenyans are in uncharted waters because we never envisaged that our own brothers and sisters, whoever they are, could go and conspire to rig elections in Kenya. If that is what happened, according to the report, if that is what happened, it is so bad, it's so hurting. I think can find space in the International Criminal Court because crimes of that nature can only lead to the disintegration and instability of nations in Africa. And therefore, Kenya could be a test case of how not to allow democracy to be circumvented by a political elite determined to use all methods, hook and crook, in conspiracy with foreigners. If that report, as it says that 1,000 stations sent results into our server, that's a very serious crime. It's a very, very serious crime against the people of Kenya, and therefore cannot just stand. And perhaps it may come to a point where the AU and perhaps even the UN that deals with the stability of nations, peace, must take part in this matter by supervising a forensic audit if their interest in Kenya is for a stable, peaceful nation that will not become a regional problem like our neighbors are, and where these bodies will have to put a lot of resources and a lot of effort trying to bring back peace when this matter should have been resolved earlier. Because I believe at this stage, it is possible to deal with this matter conclusively and put Kenya back to the path of democracy and the will of the people.
Thank you, Chaka. I saw your hand some time back. Huh? Mr. Agwaru, we are not here to prove to you about elections being stolen. Huh? You know, if you have even kids at home and you just call them randomly, even the younger one will tell you who won the election. So we don't need to go there. So maybe they can prove that one to you. They know it back at home.
Thank you, Mr. Nyabaya, for this opportunity. What I would like to contribute to my fellow Kenyans ni kwamba hapa tunaweka mfano mzuri tu katika hii panel that tunaweza kumalizana na jinamizi la ukabila. Tuchukulie mfano wenye tuna contribute hapa. Kila mtu mwenye maoni ya kutakia mema hii nchi ana contribute hapa frequently. Ana ruhusa, yuko huru kuzungumza. Na huu ndio mfano ambao Wakenya tunafaa tufuate haswa ili kuweza kulipoteza kabisa hili jambo la ukabila. Kwa hii panel mimi Chaka najivunia vitu vingi sana, kwamba Wakenya tuna uwezo wa kuungana pamoja. Hapa ni kila mtu, kila kabila uko huru haswa kuchangia na kuzungumzia kile unaona kwako ni sahihi. So mimi kwangu nikisupport yale ambayo mkuu wangu Guru hapo ameweza kuyazungumza, ni kwamba ni sisi wa Kenya tutakaoweza kuijenga hii nchi ama tutakaoweza kuibomoa nchi, but itategemea ni upande gani ambao tutaweza kuegemea. Juu kama ni masuala na uchaguzi ukweli tuzungumze, uchaguzi huu haukuwa wa huru na haki, na ni njia nyingi ambazo zinathibitisha hayo. Uchaguzi huu ulikaliwa, ukapangwa, ukapangika, na watu wakatazama kwamba je, baada la kufanya hili tutakimbia wapi, ama baada ya kufanya hili huyu tunashindana naye haswa Raila atakimbia wapi, ama Azimio itakimbia wapi? Kwa sababu ukweli ni kwamba tukifuatilia vizuri, haswa kama tutarudi vyenye haswa haya matokeo yenye ilikuwa najitokeza upande hasa wa ABC, ni ishara wazi uchaguzi huu haukuwa na uhuru na haki. Tusidanganyane hapa. Kwa hiyo kigezo kikubwa ni akimbia mahakamani kisha bloko kule, tunarudi kwa msemo ule kwamba let accept and move on. Hiyo tu, lakini hatujiulizi ni lini haswa tutapokuwa tunaweza kuihakikishia kwamba kura ya mwananchi inapozungumza debeni ndio ambayo inafanya kazi kule juu. Na ndiposa mimi na wengine wenye roho haswa ya kuitakia mema nchi yetu tuko hapa kupaza sauti zetu juu, kuzungumza kwa niaba ya taifa letu haswa. Ndivyo hata wengine mataifa ambayo yako yametuzunguka yaweze kuiga kutokana na kwetu. Wote kuzungumzia masuala ya uchaguzi kwa kweli haukuwa wa huru na haki. Mwenye kuchaguliwa na mwananchi siye yuko pale juu. Hapo tusifiche ugonjwa. Maana haiwezekani uende hospitali unaumwa na kichwa unasema naumwa na kidole ya mguu. Hapa tutakuwa hatujapata suluhu. Suluhu ni kwamba hakika ni wakati wa Kenya tuje pamoja na tuangamize hawa wenye kupanga haya matokeo, hawa wenye kupanga haya mambo, kwamba hata iweje sisi tutaingia by all means. Hawa wenye kupanga haswa na kuibalisha kura ya mwananchi kuwa sio yenye usemi, kisha baadaye watu waje jipige vifua wakitamba nchi nzima kwamba sisi tulichaguliwa kihalali na wananchi, na mahakama pia iliweza kupitisha hapo. Kwa hiyo tukubali na tuendelee mbele. Hakuna amani inayokuja kwa nchi pasipokuwa na haki. Hakuna. Kwa hiyo tusifiche ugonjwa na tusiwe na mazoea ya kila siku kwamba tukubali, wacha aishe tu, tuende mbele tu. Hakuna. Hatutamaliza huu tata, hatutamaliza huu bovu ambao umetawala katika hili taifa letu. Kukomesha ni kuhakikisha tumekuja kwa pamoja na tumesema no, kwa sababu kama ni dalili tumeiona, uchaguzi huu haukuwa wa huru na haki, na hata wale waliokuwa walioungaunga wakapata huu uongozi pia nao wanatudidimiza. Mwananchi ndo anabebeshwa lawama na mzigo wote, kisha yeye ndo anayetumika kabisa Jamani, please Kenyans, tuige huu mfano tunauweka hapa kwa huu Mutembei, hapa kwa hii panel. Turudi wote kwa pamoja, kabila zote tungane Jumatatu ambao ni kesho, I do believe. Hapo ndipo tuhakikishe kwamba tunaonyesha hawa viongozi kwamba si lolote, ni wenye kuwaeka pale, na tukiamua kuwatoa tunawatoa, ili mradi tu wawe wanafanya vitu ambavyo viko kinyume vitu ambavyo si vya kuletea hii nchi yetu manufaa, vitu ambavyo si vya kumpumzisha mwananchi. Tuache uoga, tuache kupendelea jamii zetu kwamba nini kifanywa hivi nitafanywa nini, itakuwaje. Hakuna. Kulijenga taifa si kazi rahisi. Pasipokuwa na umoja hakuna vile tunaweza likomboa hili taifa katika minyororo ya hawa wenye uchu wa madaraka, walafi na madaraka, wenye kuongozwa na matumbo yao, na ndio ambao wameshikilia hii serikali. Ukweli lazima tuzungumze hapa, hakuna kufichana. Kumaliza jinamizi ya uchaguzi ni kuhakikisha this time around, kabla hata ya 2027. Maana hatuwezi enda 2027 kura za 2027 ili hali hapa kuna machafu haya ya lotele. Hatuwezi kuamuliwa na taifa zingine za nje masuala ya nchini mwetu, hususan upande wa uchaguzi. Ni vitu ambavyo ni vya aibu. Wakenya tukizungumza debeni, hakika sauti yetu ipate kusikika, maana hapo ndo huwa tumeelekeza kwamba tunaamini kwamba tunayemweka pale ataweza kuliongoza taifa hili vyema. Tusipangiwe na watu ambao wanajua likistabarika Kenya ikiwa inshaanza mgawanyiko, wao wanaanza kufaidi kutoka hapo. Mataifa ya nje wao ni kusukuma tu, waone mkiuana, na hasuswa tumetumika hivi haswa bara zima la Afrika. Mataifa yale yako nje ya Afrika wanaofaidi kutokana na hapa wanapendezwa zaidi wakiona mahali kwamba mnagawanyika, hamuna maelewano. Wao ndio wanapata nafasi kuweza kufanya mambo yao. But hili ni taifa thabiti, hili ni taifa Mungu akalitunuku, na hatutaenda mahali pengine. Wa Kenya ndugu zangu, tuko hapa. So kulikomesha jinamizi la hawa wakora na kuhakikisha kwamba huu uongozi ambao ulikuwa ni wa mwenyewe, uongozi huu amepewa uongozi wake ni sisi wa Kenya, si wengine. Tusifichane hapa. Ombi langu, tumuunge mkono kiongozi wetu mpendwa, tumshangilie anapoingia, na yeye aache kutumika na mambo ambayo hayatufaidi hapa. Mara yuko huko, mara ameenda huko, mara ameenda huko. We don't see any benefits on those trips. Asimame na Wakenya, tumpe muongozo na tumpe ushindi wake, na awe thabiti. Hakuna handshake, hakuna njoo kwa meza tuzungumze hivi. Jamani, serikali hii hakuna. Ushindi kama ni wake tu, na tunaamini Wakenya wote asilimia 85 tunaamini kwamba hakika huu uongozi haukuwa wa Ruto, ulikuwa wa Raila. Na zipo sababu zinazoonyesha haswa, sitaki kuzichambua zote, maana wenzangu washatangulia kuzichambua tangia ni katika hii panel wamezichambua. Kwa hivyo sina haja niziingilie ndani, lakini ukweli ni kwamba uchaguzi huu haukuwa wa huru na haki, na mwenye kuchaguliwa na wananchi si ambaye anaongoza. Kwa hiyo ni tuhakikishe tumerudi pamoja, tumeungana pamoja kuweza kulikomboa hili taifa letu, ndivyo tupepukane na kutumika visivyo. Mimi nitakwamia pale na nitachangia pale padogo tu nyabaya, lakini bila sisi wananchi wenyewe haswa kuja kwa pamoja, hakuna jinsi ambavyo tutaweza lipeleka ile taifa letu mbele. Hawa wakora ambao ni wanasiasa wanaorudi kuja haswa kutuwarai kazi, ndio watatugawanyisha kwa malengo yao na kwa manufaa yao. Kwa sababu naamini hasa wapo watu ambao wapo viongozi kwa Azimio ambao pia wanaongozwa na tumbo zao, ndio wale ambao hawana msimamo rohoni mwao. Wakishaona kwamba hawajaungana na serikali, basi watakwisha mambo yao, wako kwa matumbo yao. Lakini je, ni nani anamfikiria mwananchi wa kawaida? Ni nani anamfikiria mwananchi wa Kenya haswa, ambaye ndo mtoa ushuru? Je, kwa hali hii ambayo tunaenda nayo haswa, harama ya maisha yenye hii tunayoiona, mzigo huu mwananchi atapumzisha ni kama hatutashikana kwa pamoja. Jumatatu tumuunge mkono Mheshimiwa Raila, maana yeye ndio baba wa taifa, na tumeiona roho yake tangia hizo enzi mpaka sasa hivi hajachoga wala hajachuja, na yuko kwa manager ya taifa, hayuko katika masuala ya ukabila wala masuala ya corruption. Tumpe mbuzi wake, huyu ndio mwenye mbuzi. Tutake sutake, huyu mwenye mbuzi tumpe, atutengenezee njia ili huu uchafu kama huu tena usije ukatokea. Lakini kama hatutafanya hivyo, na tume hii ambayo imeshatuhamulia maamuzi ambayo sio, ishakwenda na tayari ilikuwa ishamezwa, mahakama ndio hiyo ambayo ishamezwa, makanisa ndio haya yashamezwa, security ndio hiyo, polisi sasa hivi ndio ambao wana kila kutukukaa tunasikia tu sauti ya polisi ndio ambao wanatekwa kabisa ili kuregeshwa pale mahali panapotakiwa. Badala uje uulizwe haswa ni nini umefanya, unapigwa mateke, unaingizwa kwa gari, unapelekwa, hakuna cha nini wala nini, tunaregeshwa hapo hapo tena. Ili kuepukana na hili ni kuhakikisha wananchi tumekuja mapema pamoja, tumeshikana na tusiregeshwe mahali tumetoka. Mfano wa haya tu, nafikiri kuna mwingine jana alitolewa kazi na akabandikwa mtu ndugu yake ambaye ni kiongozi fulani katika kazi. Je, hii ni serikali ya kureward ama ni serikali ambayo itasimamia haki? Please, tusidanganyane hapa. Hatuna serikali hapa, tuna watu ambao wako kwa ajili ya matumbo yao, wako kwa their self interest, lakini si kwa ajili ya Mkenya. Asanteni.
Asante sana Chaka, ila ni kukosoe kidogo, usiseme Jumatatu twende tumkaribishe baba, waambie ni kesho, sio Jumatatu. Ukisema Jumatatu yaonekana kuwa ni mbali zaidi, ishafika ni kesho. So kuna wale wanatoka mbali, wengine
asante. So, kesho jamani, kesho haswa. Na baba awe stronger, hata babaika na kutumika kupelekwa kuna huko, asima huko nyuma ya baba, ili tuhakikishe taifa tumelikomboa. Kwa hiyo ni kesho, ndugu zangu, ukweli umwagi chambilecho ni mheshimiwa Joho, kama ni mwaga peupe peruanja kwa ni wa huyu na huyu funganya virago, kama ni kuingia hapo yone kama ataweza kumaliza wananchi ambao wameamua kwamba wana. So ni kesho, si kwamba ni Jumatatu, kesho.
Asante sana. Vicky Brian, naona mkono umeinua.
Okay, thank you for giving me another chance. Yeah, what I want to say is this. Well, we had a very good constitution, and all well-meaning Kenyans know that we had a very good constitution. The constitution envisioned a nation and institutions of ideals characters. Unfortunately, this is not this is in practical sense, this is not true. Me, what I'm realizing now is that we gave IDC too much that it cannot implement. The pressure is too much on IDC. Whoever you name, the chairman of the commission, cannot follow the election rules as provided because of the nature of the political players we have. Leo, we can name you the chair of IDC. But sooner you get into as soon as you get into that office, you'll find that you cannot play by the rules. So I think as Kenyans, we have to rethink our strategy. Because as it stands now, Kenyans are losing faith in the electoral system, particularly the presidential elections. So in my mind, in my opinion, I would advocate for constitutional change as far as elections are concerned. And probably I would ask Kenyan people, citizens, to forego our right to constitutional mandate to directly select or vote for our president, because this is the thorn in our flesh. Because if we do this, it would mean that we will have some IBC at the national level to count our vote. And this is not happening. It cannot work. It cannot happen. So as a people, I think we have to rethink another strategy so that maybe we will have to dedicate our sovereign power to our elected leaders, maybe at the national, at the constituency level or at the county level, to go and select for us the national leader. Because this is the way we can do this. This is the only way we can do it in a transparent manner. Because when we narrow the number of people participating, we can at least say that so and so, Mr. Guru, we selected you to go and elect Madam Kenyan Arari as our president, and you have not done that. You will do it in a broad daylight, and we will count you, we will hold you responsible. But this time, as it is now, we are giving IBC this leeway to do it for us. They can't do it. They have failed so many times. So how can Kenyans allow this thing to go in favor? Because next election, I don't see Kenyans having faith in IBC that they will give us a credible election, especially at the presidential level. It is, people have lost faith in this. Okay, as far as Raila is concerned, they must say his days is approaching his sunset days. We should not put a lot of pressure on him. Unfortunately, I don't see any other person who has the ability to push the way he has been pushing. But I think what we can, if we are honest people, the only thing we can ask him now is maybe to push for a constitutional change. Because we don't want him to go to commit. I know people having people have expectation that on Tuesday he will pronounce something that may lead to a regime change. As our constitution is and the courts are, I think that way we may be pushing them, say, to a very dangerous corner. So we have to live to this reality, that as much as we love him, we should not be willing to sacrifice him at the same time. But the only thing he can do now is to push for constitutional change. And the only practical thing here for us as people of Kenya to get the results we desire is to change the election rules. IBC cannot give us the president that we want.
For intervention, Guru, you want to respond to what you just said? I think there's some responses to what you've just said pertaining sacrificing and pertaining committee, things like that. I also find that it needs a lot of response, because whatever people are going to do tomorrow are all based and are all in our constitution, which gives us the sovereign power. And the sovereign, that same power allows you to picket, and the picketing includes even kicking you out of the state house, because it is the power of the people that puts you in that state house. So if, like, let's say today 5 million people march to that state house, whether you are sworn in or not sworn in, if they march to that state house and demand you to get out, it will let me say it will do away with all the swearing ins and everything, the oaths that you took. So it's the people taking their sovereign power. So if people can just be